Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode number 17 of HeroesHype Live. Looking at the title. Thank you. Forgot the number.
I tried.
I am Haloran, and I'm joined by the ever effervescent Maybe Buzz, and we have a special guest with us tonight. Tonight, we'll be joined by the one and only Battery, stalwart member of the competitive scene. How are you this evening, good sir?
I'm doing great. You told me yesterday you want to come on the show, and I've been excited ever since.
Nice,
Having
man.
a good time. Looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to have you on here. Is it 2 T's and 2 R's? Did I mess it up?
It's 2 R's. What the? How do you not know
7
that?
T's.
I
It's
messed
2
up.
R's.
I messed up.
That's what I always.
The
that's what I tell
definition of
people.
life. The definition of
If
life.
they type my name wrong, I'll be in like a Hero League match, and I'll misplay and like die, and they'll say, "Hey, what are you doing, Junkrat? You're so bad," or like Batter, you're such a horrible player. I'd be like, whoa. It's spelled with 2 R's, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Shows-
no need to get charged up about it. But I really am glad to have you here on the show. You and I, we haven't talked too much recently, but I remember a few months ago, maybe closer to a year now. Like I was like, I'm rooting for you, man. Like we had a chat.
we have like 3 really good conversations per year. We don't hang out. We don't talk to each other. We don't know anything about each
I'm
other.
antisocial and weird, but
Same.
Aww.
Same.
Esports.
I've always tried to come by and give you some words of encouragement, checking and see how you're doing. So, the whole reason why this kind of came about is Battery stopped by the channel and he's like, "Hey, like I'm doing, my team's doing really well in HeroesHype Amateur Series. Like, when are you gonna cast again?"
I was like, what? I showed up thinking you were gonna be there, and then you weren't.
He'll be
It
here
kept
this
happening.
week.
I will be there tomorrow night. I'm returning home, but I just thought it was really cool to hear you have this kind of commitment and excitement about this new team, this next chapter in your Heroes competitive career. I thought it'd be a really cool opportunity to have you on the show to get your perspective and insight on some of the more standout moments of the past year. Also to get your insight on the upcoming changes, because the landscape will shift considerably next year with the 2018 changes.
Definitely will.
So I was really excited that you had the time, kind enough to come hang out with us. So hopefully we get some cool interactions in the chat. Again, this is HeroesHype Live, guys. So we read the comments, have an ongoing organic and live discussion that you are all very much a part of. So feel free to get in and participate. But Battery, I suppose we can get the proverbial show on the road. So we know, Battery, that you've been in the competitive scene for a long time. You and May were talking a little bit before we started the show. Back when May was like doing managing and setting up scrims and stuff, she's like, I remember you from back then. So you've definitely been around for a while. But the big thing that I wanted to jump into, at least to start, is even in defs, climb through the playoffs and going into the Crucible. Something that we've talked about here a few times now is the idea of the Crucible happening twice a year. Coming out of the Crucible, your team put up a good show, but you weren't able to win. 6 months feels like a long time. Like, what was the mindset for you guys coming out of that Crucible?
Well, we weren't really happy.
I can.
I don't know. It's like being in a jacuzzi and hugging a bag of ice. Like, it's cold, the ice hurts your skin, but you're in the warm water, You know, like it was good and it was bad, and everyone on the team was so conflicted because you wanted, you know, the goal was to get in the HGC, but then it didn't feel like we earned it, and it was hard to really get really hyped for our accomplishment. And you know, there were back then people say, oh, we didn't deserve the win, or we didn't deserve to get in the HGC. But I mean, if you think about it, if there have to be the best 8 teams, and we proved we were the 9th team, and then the 8th team leaves, then we do deserve, because that makes us the 8th team. So we knew we belonged. Like we didn't. No one on the team thought that we shouldn't be there, but we just weren't. We weren't super thrilled. You know, we really wanted to work towards something and then accomplish it, and felt a little robbed because you don't get to. When you fail, you just you give up, and then you start on something else. But now it's kind of like the failure kind of carries with you into success, and it feels very strange.
I think it's. I thought it was one of the most interesting moments in competitive Heroes, because, you know, this was the first Crucible. This, you know, there were a lot of uncertainties about how this whole progression would go. And I think it took a lot of people by surprise, that ruling that the 9th team would become the 8th team to make it into the HGC. Yeah. Should a team, dissolve, like B-Step ended up doing. Mm. You said it comes across to me like a very bittersweet moment in a way for you, because, you know, the competitor in you wants to win and like be like, look, I'm here. B-Step dissolves, you guys get brought into the HGC. Reddit Court had an opinion.
As they always
do. As they always do. Court is always in session.
So I guess my question is, like, you know, you've gone into, you know, you guys' overall thoughts and feelings about it, but did you guys read into the comments a lot that were had about that? And if so, did it affect you guys?
So I have a history with Reddit, and I read the comments, but I don't want to, so I don't see all of them. Now, Hami, formerly known as Homicidal, he reads everything, and he'll respond to every comment. He saw every single thing. He went after every argument. He was on there so hard, like going after every thread, like being super up to date. So we knew about him because Hami would tell us, right? And then Blizzard had our back, because it's like, well, they beat an imported support in the tournament, so what do you guys want from us?
Yeah.
You know, like, so I don't know. I didn't really care. I've been through so much worse that the internet has to offer. So people like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. Like I give a crap.
Were you guys like more up to date on the situation that was happening? Like, did you guys have like a pretty good idea that you guys were in before like any official announcements were made?
It was always kind of fingers crossed, but like within like half an hour of losing to No Tomorrow, Zuna messaged me and told me about B-Step. I was like, oh,
interesting.
Oh, wow. Great. I thought, well, this is great. Now I have to have hope. Awesome. Right?
Yeah, that's definitely an emotional roller coaster in and of itself. It's really cool to hear that you heard from Zuna that soon after that match, because part of me was wondering, like, you know, you have that defeat and you're definitely going to feel a certain way about that. Like, how much of a gap was there between, you know, that and like that spark of hope? Like, do I have a shot at this?
And then we finally got the email from Blizzard saying we were in. It was we all just got in and had a good laugh, and then life just moved forward. Like, it was almost like you're scrimming one day, and then the next week you show up to scrims again. That's kind of how it was. since we knew about, it's like kind of like you know, it's like, hey, you're the reason we lost, or like, oh, this will never work out, or I don't want to play with you guys anymore. And then like half an hour afterward, because like we're all pretty smart. Like we don't fight each other during tournament.
Yeah.
And then like half an hour later, it's like, hey, we might be in, and everyone's just kind of, oh, I guess okay.
Like,
so I might as well not. no one should burn any bridges. You know, they might be in this a little longer, and then we were, and so it was great. No one had any big rants, or no one attacked anybody.
That would have been
implode right away.
that could have been a little awkward. Laval in the chat said, I think Imported Support's feeling the same way about your comments, being like the 9th team and coming in. I would agree with that. And Dark Chimera said maybe even more since they didn't have to compete against Even and Death for the spot too.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They got I don't know. They got kind of. Yeah, I mean everyone's situation is different. It's not the same because we beat them fair and square. The situation was not unfair that we beat them in. It was just unfortunate. We all suffered from the same handicap.
Yeah.
It's not, watching them the day before and seeing how HeroesHype was winning because Imported Support didn't know how to close out games, but they were Imported Support winning all the team fights, and then they just lost a game, and then HeroesHype closed the gap. I'm not saying Imported Support is a better team than HeroesHype. I kind of don't think they are, because if they were, they would have just won a little more handedly. But they've got to have a little bit of resentment there, and then they have to go up against Lag Force, not Even in Death, and then it kind of happens again, and now they're in. So I'm sure they've got a little bit of turmoil to deal with, a couple extra steps. Yeah,
I mean, you make a really good point. Everyone's situation is different, sure. But Imported Support's ascension into the HGC does have some parallels to Even in Death.
Oh, I mean, it's the same. They went to the Crucible, they lost their Crucible match, and then they still got in the HGC, and that's what happened. Yeah, it is.
Do you think the teams played with a little more fervor and zeal, knowing that the 9th team could be brought in as the 8th? And I guess another question I have is, did you guys know going into the Crucible, where you guys got brought in, did you guys know that was on the line? During the actual playoffs?
I think we actually, somebody had mentioned it, that morning. If I remember, it was, I think, or I don't know if I knew, but someone on the team brought up afterward. Oh, because I said, hey, someone just told me that BSTEP's going to disband, and then someone on the team's like, oh yeah, I knew about that, but I didn't bring it up because I didn't want to influence the game. So it's no, not everybody knew. Maybe I knew, maybe I didn't. Someone on my team did, so it's possible, but there wasn't an atmosphere about it.
Okay.
And gosh. No one wants to lose and then win by technicality. Everyone wants to earn their spots. We all are competitive because we don't want to be number one because number one quit. We want to be number one because we're better. So
I agree 100%. The competitor in you definitely wants to just without question be able to earn the spot. It was an interesting odyssey for you guys once you went into the HGC.
Say the least.
Like we said, Reddit Court had its say. You guys go into the HGC. Had a rocky start. Now you said you felt confident about your position in the HGC. We earned that 9th place spot. The 8th, B-Step just happened to dissolve, so here we are. Was there any feeling of intimidation or uncertainty going in under the circumstances?
No.
Cool.
Now we're all 3 of the guys on the team have been pro before, and we don't. It doesn't really matter. We just wanted to play well. We're not scared to go up against anybody. Nothing like that.
I'm really glad to hear that. I feel like a lesser team might have, I don't want to say bought into the hype of what people were saying, but I think a lesser team might have seen the way you guys came in HGC as we should be scared. But I actually really respect that you guys were no, we're going in.
That no one, that's something you get over real quick. When you start playing competitively. Like you're scared a couple times to go up against a better opponent, and then you get over it.
Because you know the players, right? You and you watch their games, so you know what their potential is, and it's not like it's these people that you've never played this before.
I don't know. I think of it as everyone all heroes deal the same amount of damage no matter who's controlling them. Like there's no real difference. It's just how people play.
Mm-hmm.
So no reason to be scared of anybody.
So it sounds like you guys just objectively took things week by week. And just were like, look, this is the match ahead of us. This is what we're up against.
Yep.
Let's just play him.
Just try to get better, practice, tried some different stuff, try to see what's work out. I think there was something wrong about the team. It was just there just wasn't enough synergy, or the pieces didn't fit right together. And if you remember, we never won any of the open qualifying tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't show up to one, we got second in another, and we got third the other 5 times. So, I mean, that, in hindsight, that probably should have been the sign of what was to come. And I still kind of believe that in the open tournament, it wasn't so much that every dog has its day, but none of the teams would scrim us out of the top 4 except for Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice was number 5 back at their open tournament, just to give you some clarity. Imported Sport wouldn't scrim us, LFM wouldn't scrim us, the only HEC teams that scrim us were Superstars and Niventic, because people didn't like scrimming them and they were friends with people on our team.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of developed a meta the week before, and it just destroyed Imported and LFM. And we just, I mean, every single tournament leading up to it, I would say afterward, guys, we're holding cards because only the last one matters. And then, and we go to the last one and blow people out of the water, and then, see, I told you. It would have been, I think it would have been, to be able to consistently win without breaking your back, shows that, you're a lot better than you, or then you have, the proof, but we're unconfident the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of carried over into the HGC, scrims are fine, 50% win rate against most teams, get into the tournament, get slaughtered, come back, not quite sure what was wrong, people not making enough space, people not communicating well, but we're all trying, we're all good players, so just something about the team that was off.
I feel like that was a consistent story. Whenever we would hear about the behind-the-scenes scrims, there was just this nature, even in Def, they perform so well in scrims. It's interesting that it's not translating to the weekend. You guys, towards the latter half of things, underwent a pretty significant role swap going through.
That was the best time in HGC. When we did our final role swap, that was the most fun I had the entire time.
Really? Why is that?
Because everything made so much more sense. Putting Hami on tank, putting me on range flex and off support, putting Frozen onto support, and Hao onto melee, and then keeping Latano on range carry. And it just it was kind of weird. It just kind of worked out, and we only really played it for about 3 weeks leading up to the Crucible. And I think if we had been doing that from day one, then some version of that team would probably still be in the HGC. I don't know, maybe doing that, making that change, because it was we did the role swap just because it was screw it, who knows, nothing works,
might as well.
You might as well just okay, why don't we just pick 5 supports? We got nothing to lose.
5 specialists.
It doesn't matter. We'll just have our tank player play support, because why not? And have our melee assassin player play tank. Who knows? It's not like conventional reason or rationalities make sense. And then that day, the first day we did the change, we were up against Roll 20, and I was playing on Tassadar. The first time, in competitive, and we almost won.
I remember that because I remember like you guys went to the draft. Yeah, like everyone loaded into the map, and it was like.
That was after that. That was way after that. But I'm talking about like a scrim.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we beat Roll20, 21-1, not 21-0. That's right. EID. Get some. 21-1.
Yeah, I just remember seeing the roll swaps and like I had to do a double take. I was like, oh, all right.
But no, and then we did a scrum game later, like a little while later. But 2 of our guys were gone, and we had to have 2 support players, but we still did the roll swap. I can't remember who was gone, and we won like every single game, like 2 blocks in a row, against like one of them was against Team Freedom, and I think the other one was Superstars, and it was like, what is happening? Like we're playing with people that like they were feeding in the games, like the subs were just Hero League players that were feeding in the games because they're just not acclimated to the amount of punishment that occurs in competitive play. And we still win the games because we win team fights, or like because we still have good rotations because the shot calling isn't changing. Because me and Lantano are still there, the shot calling's still there. It's just that people are getting whoa, like so.
I think you cut out there for a second. Is that just me?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So. We tried that. So I mean, So we lost. We did the change. We got a little better. We still lost, but it made me really want to play ranged, like a lot.
Really? Did it change the atmosphere too? Like, is everybody sort of like more enthusiastic?
We're really confident. We're a lot more confident. I think that the Crucible day was just like. I think we were so close. I mean, I know it was a 4-2, but there's so many moments that were just so close to like victory, and there were just these small things, and I think if we had more time to work on it, maybe it could have been a lot better. Okay. I don't dwell on it too much. There's a part of me that's glad I lost, because it's like finally some closure. Okay.
Yeah. And like you can do the next step and like
move on now.
Yeah.
Now I'm done with tanking, and I play things that aren't main tank. That's the role.
And you've been really enjoying it.
I've made a completely new role. It's non-main tank.
You made a role.
I've invented the dynamic. It's the role that it's any hero but not main tank and probably not Gazlo.
Gotcha. Yeah. Super flex.
Probably. Did you say probably not Gazlo?
Probably.
Don't tempt me. Don't play.
I'm not.
if you're gonna float the possibility that Gazlo's out there.
I'm just a really honest guy. Okay. Things
pop
into my head. I say them. Okay.
Probably not Gazlo. So you're telling me there's still a chance. That's the main thing.
There's a chance. Oh, dude. They buff Gazlo tomorrow. People start picking him.
Oh my god, no!
Like, it becomes meta. I'm doing it. Hey. Like I don't play heroes because I like playing them. I play heroes because they're meta.
The dawn of the one-man wrecking crew.
Exactly.
But what you said there was really, really interesting to me. You said you don't play necessarily what you want to. You play what's strong in the meta. I find that to be a really selfless act and pretty cool. Has that been a philosophy that you've always had? Like, I want to play what works.
So, okay, when I was a kid. All right.
Okay.
All right. When I was a kid, I used to have this line, and everybody says it when they're playing like Halo, and they go, "Oh man, body shotting somebody with the sniper rifle and then switching to BR and one clicking is cheap. It's too easy, Mm-hmm. It's lame. Only it's what cowards do, or something like, oh, I don't play Genji every game because it's just so OP. You're like, get rid of that and just pick whatever is the fastest route to victory, and then make that the competition. And as soon as you do that, you elevate. You just elevate your play. And I forget, like, the heroes that I want to play all the time, luckily, I really like Junkrat, and Junkrat's actually pretty meta. So
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about that. Like, I love playing D.Va, but she's really hard to make work.
Yeah, she's much
I don't
more
lose sleep
niche.
on it, you know.
It'd be like a comp, yeah.
Yeah, I find the heroes I win with are the ones I like the most. That's usually what happens.
I suppose I can see the incentive and correlation there.
I used to hate Uther. But now I play support. I do shield the Genji. The Genji kills everybody. Like, how much longer am I gonna not like Uther? You know, like, how long is this gonna go on before? Like, I just kind of warm up to the idea, and then I I guess I do like Uther, even though I've hated him for so long. So it's kind of funny the way.
I've got one last question about the Even in Death chapter, because I'm really excited to hear about what's on the horizon for you.
Okay.
A lot of people felt like Heroes Hearth versus Even in Death and the Crucible was faded. I remember seeing McIntyre, like, he had the Even in Death portrait before the Crucible, which is
Thanks McIntyre for the cheers.
So I guess my question for you, because it's something that was always interesting to me. You said you guys just focused on what was ahead of you each week in the HGC. Was there any attention paid to this sort of like feeling that this was going to happen? Like, did you consider that at all, or was it just like, we're not worried about that, we just want to do what we can here in HGC?
Well, okay, we had our support moment where we had our change, and then superstars started beating everybody.
Yeah.
We're like, whoa, I guess we could end up in the Crucible. This is random. Like, how did that happen? And then we kind of like, okay, I guess we're last. I guess HeroesHype's probably going to win because imported support doesn't know how to do macro play, and HeroesHype's just beating them with macro play and just punishing mistakes. So it's probably going to happen. I don't know. We knew it was coming. We were looking for it.
Okay. Did you have a hope that that Heroes Hearth would pick Lag Force and you guys would go up against imported?
Nobody would ever pick Lag Force because Lag Force, every single one of their players plays like sub 50 ping because they're all like really close to the Western server.
Oh wow!
And normal people live all over the country.
Right.
So it's every day you show up to the open tournament, you have 80 ping, and because you live in New York, and you're the carry for the team, and you're beating people on even ground. And then one day it's like, hey, you want to be in the HGC? Well, why don't you just give yourself 100 ping disadvantage and beat a team that might be better than you by making plays with like 150 ping.
Yeah.
Solve for X.
Okay. Like, no one. That's why we picked No Tomorrow, the first Crucible.
Interesting.
Like, we wanted to pick Lag Force, but our carries live on the East Coast, so it's just like they just have this high ground permanently from where they live. So just go move right next to the Western server, and no one will ever challenge you.
You have to be in California to esports. There you go.
Super, yeah.
Plus the time thing.
Huge advantage.
Yeah, the time difference is real. That's super interesting to me because, like, players have talked about this before, but I didn't know it was like that influential in the decision.
I think Heroes Hearth decided they were going to pick us like the day their team formed because of how bad we were doing in HEC. I don't think it was and how we got in, but there's no way if they ever actually sat down and considered which one they want to pick. That would probably be the reason they didn't. Like, why? Like, I've decided that I'm good enough to beat both teams. Why would I give myself a handicap?
Yeah.
Wow, the home court advantage. The home court advantage. Okay. I mean, that was just something I was really curious to hear about. Because it did seem like it was going to be a lined up match. So I was just curious to hear you guys' perspective on that going into it. But Even in Death is no more. We're on to a new chapter for you, Battery 2018.
No, it was great. It was great going to the HGC because I got this jacket.
Nice.
Yeah. I couldn't see it. Did it show it?
It did.
You got it.
Nice.
10 out of 10.
That's a really cool feeling, man, to have like your name on a jacket. When you first pulled that out. Oh.
That's what you get if you.
I'm actually really curious about this. You pull that out of the packaging for the first time, you turn it over, and you see your name emblazoned on the back of the jacket. How did that feel?
It was like, damn. Like, I really did something. Like, I don't know. It feels great. It's my favorite memento. I've got a.
Hey, you cut out there for a little bit.
It's my favorite memento. You hear me?
Yeah. We caught that part. Yeah.
But I've got a Team Blaze jersey, and I have an Astral Authority jersey.
Damn.
I don't like the Astral Authority jersey because they misspelled my name.
1 R.
But like I've got those jerseys, but it's like I don't know. They remind me of my failures. But this one, it's neutral. Like it's just that I made it.
Well, I mean,
like my favorite one. It's great.
As a competitive player, you put tons of hours of your personal time, your life into this ambition. HeroesHype sees a ton of amateur community level competition. We see a lot of aspiring players who want to be in your spot, who want to make it into the HGC, who want to have their name on the back of the jacket, to be in the legacy.
Blizzard makes it.
Yeah, like that's a senpai notice me kind of thing. So I don't know. I just in a lot of ways I feel like that's a lot of inspiration to other amateur players. It's like, look, if I work hard enough, if I keep at it.
They promised a backpack, but I wasn't good enough for that one.
Oh, the backpack. Like, the next time. The next time you're in there.
Well, they're like, we'll get you a backpack with your name on it. Like, why would I need a backpack with my link?
Got the jacket.
So you don't lose it in the airport like all the other pros.
GG.
Dude, speaking of airports and pros, I think Sam went to it was Sweden or one of the EU things. You hear about that? Where he put his bag down next to him at the hotel concierge desk. Someone stole it while he was getting his keys.
What?
Yeah. Speaking, I don't know why that popped into my head, but if you had a backpack, you had a backpack with your name on it, and someone stole that. That would be crazy.
I would have been a little upset. To say the very least.
No.
Name or not, it's like, damn, it's hard out there overseas, man.
They just wanted that HTC backpack.
I choose to believe that it was a fan.
Yeah, just run up, steal Saul's backpack.
They got some little 4-year-old kid that just bumble their way over.
Maybe they lassoed it.
the old fishing hook gambit.
Yeah.
But okay.
Anyway, chapter closed. Moving on.
Chapter closed. Even in death, no more. You move over to a new role now. You said you feel. Would you say you feel more liberated in this new?
Oh yeah.
This new role you've created for yourself.
I play. On occasion, we pick 2 tanks, and I end up on the other tank.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I'll play Tyrael, pop off, land the perfect sync, get everything done. I'll play all the tanks.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't succeeding at the main tank role, so I just don't play it anymore. But yeah, I feel like I'm creating a lot more space. My actions are really helping my teammates win the game easier, or I'm following up a lot better on situations. I'm capitalizing on opportunity. I'm seeing things I didn't see before, and I get to enjoy this whole new style of play that I get to work on. Definitely liberated. It's a great word to describe it.
It sounds like it's kind of refreshed and reinvigorated your whole perspective on competitive heroes. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about, the team that you're on presently and what kind of dynamic you guys have, because you sound very enthusiastic about it. Very excited. You guys have had some promising results early on. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of let us know what to look out for on the next wave.
Well, I would say it's great that you join a team. OMS was actually the first team I even hung out with since I got out of the HGC, and now it's working out. And I thought, this is kind of weird. Not even talking to other people. It's kind of working out. I don't have to I don't have to, look for something else because this one's actually functioning really well, and it's definitely evolving and getting better, and I can see the changes, and I can see the growth, and I see the potential and the talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to it, and we're beating pretty much everybody that you should be beating on day one, which is perfect because I don't have to worry. And it feels like we're doing really great. Every once in a while we get scrims against HGC teams, and most of those scrims go 50-50 or better.
Wow.
And I've got 3 guys on my team who have never been competitive in anything ever, and we're already, creating like these moments that really show like these guys succeeded with less than 3 games against real pro players already. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to seeing how they grow.
That is extremely promising. Like we've seen that team around before you came on, and I remember the first time I was is that's Battery on there? Like, did they reach out to you first, or did you reach out to them?
I was hanging out before the Crucible happened, and we had a lull in our scrims because no one was scrimming. Because all the HGC teams, like, what do they have to scrim for? Like,
right.
HGC ended, waiting. All the BlizzCon teams are scrimming each other. We're scrimming the BlizzCon teams, and we're we only play against amateurs, so we had all this open time, and I thought, oh, how about like while I'm free so much, I'll go coach an AM team, and then I knew someone who was involved, and then I just kind of asked them, hey, can I coach your team? They're like, oh, please do.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. They go in like, hey, well, I just saw your game, and well, you did that wrong. You did that wrong. You did that wrong. Did that wrong. All right, whatever. And then just kind of as something to do, and then someone didn't show up, and I sub in, and then it was kind of didn't talk that much. Like I did some shot calling, but they just kept coming back. Like that was like day one. Keep coming back. Every time I come back, it's a little better. Like things start to make a little more sense. And then it was somewhere that I could just hang out and work on the game, rather than knowing that it was going to be what I wanted to be a part of for a long time. Just scrim enough times with the team, teach them enough stuff, reinforce the rights and discourage the wrongs, and then now it's starting to look like a real team. And I'm just starting to get momentum with them, and it makes me want to stay more and leave less.
Nice, man. It sounds like it was a very organic progression. Would you say that would be?
Absolutely. Because there's no real reason I'd ever want to join that team on day one. Most of the guys are really quiet, and it took a while before I could get them to really talk a lot more, or make sure that their thought processes are correct, or show them what correct thought processes are. What real value is, how to measure real effectiveness. It's going great. I don't tell them that much anymore. Now it's just practice.
So do you shot call then, or is somebody else shot calling on that team?
So we've got Seryu. They all have names, I'm sure. Seryu, Hot Show, Troy 1010, and Dark Chimera. That's great. I hope they're not listening.
And they were, at least.
Troy 1010 is the drafter, Harrison is a shot caller, and I am I don't always shot call, but if I have an idea, I just say it. It's really casual for me because I'm not always, because like Harrison's Hot Show's he's trying to do stuff all the time, and I just kind of come in and either enhance his play, or he'll say, we want to go take this camp, let's do it like this, and I'll say, let's take that camp, but here's how we should do it. And we follow, like I let Harrison make his calls, have his successes, have his mistakes. I make my calls. People can see, what the right call, what the wrong call is. Like he's growing as a shot caller. I'm not completely taking it from him. But when we're in tournament, I talk a lot, and when I want to win, I'm way more involved. So it's kind of me and him both shot call, but he fills the air a lot more. He's getting a lot better at it, and I'm just it's starting to become. He knows what to do most of the time, but he doesn't know, or he knows what's okay all the time, but I know what's great a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have great ideas 100% of the time. So when I see in this opportunity, like, oh, we get boss, do knights, and end right here, and everyone on the team's like, I don't know what you mean. And then 2 minutes later, like, wow, like, how could I not have seen that?
Yeah.
So I just kind of, you could say I hijack the calls from time to time, but it's very comfortable because whenever I give people direction, it always seems to work out. So we get we're enjoying that dynamic. I'm not stealing anything from him. It's more like, I'm trying to think of a word for it. It's just like a specialty call, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I really like that dynamic. So let me make sure I'm understanding this. So Hacho or Harrison, as you call him, is like the general shot caller, like the normal moment to moment kind of thing. But every now and again, where he goes up to bat and would hit like a triple, you're like, this is how we get a home run.
Yeah, exactly.
And you coming in with those home run calls develops him as a shot caller. So the next time he sees that as well.
Exactly.
Or that elevates his level of shot calling in general. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't take over calls. I'm not letting him stop talking because shot calling is practice. So he's getting all the practice he needs, but we reap the benefit of a already developed shot caller like me, because it'll be like we always have good calls, but I just fill in the gaps.
Right.
That he doesn't like. That he's not like that consistent. But you know what? That's how it was on EID. Latano was a shot caller, and I was a shot caller, and Latano would make a call, and he would do the macro call, and I would tell people how to do micro stuff, and we would try to angle the team a certain way, like what kind of formations, like what routes people want to take, how much aggression they want. We go back and forth. It's a pretty common dynamic. I know a lot of teams in the HCC, what they do is pretty much everybody makes calls, and then someone on the team is either officially or unofficially designated to just have the last word. So Team Freedom last time in the second half of Phase 2, Cure was the final word, but he was not the shot caller. So if they said, hey, we should not switch to ogres, Cure says, no, we're going mid. You just go mid.
Mm-hmm.
Like doesn't matter what anybody says. There's no blowback. And I think when teams understand their dynamic and they're comfortable with it, they play a lot better.
So I'm really glad to hear this because I empathize with Hacho's place a lot. I was on a competitive team for a little while when I first started playing Heroes, and I was in a very similar situation where the team wanted me to shot call for whatever reason, and I was like the least experienced one on the team, and we had someone that was very experienced at the game like yourself, that like they let me shot call, but then every now and again they'd have a much better idea than I had, and that was really kind of like a guide in a way. And then over time I did become a better shot caller.
My hope is that's the dynamic.
Well,
like that's the desired one, and I think that's what it is. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I mean, if you guys are going 50-50 with HCC teams now, I would say so. I mean, you guys are definitely on the right track, at the very least. But something that's really curious to me about this is, you said when you first started playing with the team, they were quiet. They didn't have the competitive experience that you had, so they weren't really, in tune with that overall rate of lingo. Would you say that even like outside of the games themselves, those players have become more vocal and like they've developed not only as players but as people also?
I don't know. I never really think about stuff. I never really thought of it like that. So
again, it's just interesting
I guess
to me
it's possible.
Because I didn't really like. I'm super introverted and whatnot.
Yeah.
But my time in the Heroes community and playing with teams and stuff has, outside of the game, helped me be more vocal. And then casting has done that as well. So I just thought it was really cool that like you were like, when you first started playing with them, they were quiet, but now it sounds like the team is much more vocal. Like they've evolved in a way in terms of how they communicate.
Definitely. Man, if there's a change, I wasn't paying attention, but I totally believe that. I mean, there's things about like becoming a professional teammate that really elevate your communication skills in real life. Absolutely. Like, really, like, not being, like, super aggressive towards your teammates or trying to be more constructive. You work on those things, when you're in teammate environment. So whether you're good at it or you're bad at it, it just gets better. Everybody's quiet, though. All the competitive wannabes, and I don't mean that in a bad way, just people who aren't yet, Anyone who starts playing competitive, they didn't talk to anybody in Hero League.
Right.
They had no reason to speak.
Right.
So you get on a team, and now you have to call a cooldown, just a power slide. So how do you break through that barrier? Well, it's just practice, and you just encourage people to do it more and more and more and more and more. And it's literally like flexing. It's just like working on a muscle at the gym. You just do it, and it gets better. It's the only way. And
the voice chat's going to help, you think?
Yeah, and I'm... Oh.
I was wondering.
Sorry, the Pandora box question.
Gosh.
Well, no, just from that standpoint, it's like this hyper competitive, like those Hero League players that are the pro wannabes. Is it going to be like a little bit of like a introduction, or do you think you're going to be able to set people apart?
I think it's a good start. Yeah, no, really, it'll kind of bring the floor up a little bit in that regard. Definitely, now that I think about it,
conceptually, the possibility is certain.
And but then, like on a competitive level, just for what that could turn into, if we think that people are going to talk a lot more because they have comms, like they're really talking a lot. Like if you play CS:GO competitively, people talk like crazy, like absolutely. Then you go into a competitive game, and then you start talking. Maybe you had bad habits,
right?
But not that you'd have bad habits, but the more competitive players, or as you learn to communicate with people, even if you're all learning yourself at the same time, you realize that some things are more important to say out loud, or some things are more important repeated, or how you need to repeat things. When to say what, and what kind of tone you should have. That definitely evolve when you start getting into like real serious competitive play, or like professional play.
It's really cool to hear this insight, because again, like I said, we have a large community at HeroesHype of amateur players who want to up their game and be more competitive. So hearing this kind of thing, if anything, it sets something of a roadmap on how to improve as a team and as individual players. So I really appreciate you offering that part of it. I kind of wanted to pick your brain about some of the upcoming changes, though. 2018 is going to bring a considerable difference to the general ebb and flow of a Heroes of the Storm game. You and I talked briefly about this before tonight's episode, that your team, Oh My Science, has done a good amount of scrims on the PTR.
Trying to scrim exclusively on the PTR. I'm bringing up the patch notes right now to make sure they're in front of me and talk about them.
So I guess like the biggest, or the first thing that I would like to hear your thoughts on after having a good amount of experience, how have the first 4 minutes of the game changed with the delay to getting to an objective, the laning change? How do you feel that's affected competitive play?
It has slowed down snowballs in between, let's say, 3 minutes or like 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's harder to snowball during specifically that time. There is a new snowball dynamic that can happen, though, between 1 minute and 3 minutes. That is now a lot stronger. So, in case you didn't know, all non-boss camps spawn at 1 minute universally.
Ooh.
Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's some specific changes, like the night camp, when you aggro it after your first instance of damage. So this is kind of important, because if like you're a KT, you could flame strike it. After your first instance of damage, the night camp activates and gives a spell aura just for capturing it. Like just for engaging it, like on the camp. So like even Rhaegar deals 30% less damage to knights, like when he attacks them. So it's harder to do knights. And then at the same time, ogres, unless they do their melee swing, they're like, when they throw rocks at you, like there's an indicator on the ground, like the sapper camps on Towers of Doom and Haunted Mines, where you can dodge them. So anybody can do ogres.
Interesting.
And without taking any damage, unless you're melee. But they do so little damage anyway. And if you wanted to, just for example of the ogres, you could walk out of their range, and then them do their wind-up throw, walk into their range and attack them, and then walk back out if you're melee and you really didn't want to take any damage. Just yesterday, I never even thought of this. Troy took an ogre camp as Li Ming without taking a single point of damage. And Li Ming does camps incredibly fast, but she's health pool is so low, you can't dodge anything. It's like impossible to do them. Now Li Ming can do camps. She can do ogres by herself, like really quickly, because Li Ming's DPS is actually pretty high.
Right.
So there's a bunch of new stuff. Taking camps at 1 minute rather than 2 minutes can, if you have the ability to capitalize on a camp take at 1 minute, and then you can get an advantage like a wall without your opponents being able to stop you that early, you can really kind of build up like a snowball in the early game. So after 2 minutes, the ogre change means nothing. If the ogres haven't been taken before 2 minutes, there's no change except for they can attack at range, you can dodge at range. Night camp spawns at 1 minute too, as well, instead of 3 minutes. So after 3 minutes, there's no change. So right off the bat, that change is literally sub 2 minute change. So we're talking the super early game. Literally, the early minutes of the game are now higher pressure, much higher pressure on the macro play. The walls you cannot ignore minion waves anymore. If we're going to be bouncing around, actually, let me finish with the camps. The siege bag camps or the hellbats.
Okay.
Those things destroy walls by themselves. Like they'll take the whole wall by themselves.
Really?
Like I'm talking no minions. Like they'll take the whole wall. Those things just destroy walls. They do a stacking debuff, makes them take more damage, and they take like no damage from walls because they take 50% reduced, and I think they increase their health too. But even just the 50% damage reduction, they're crazy, right? They spawn in a minute, makes Braxis hold out. If you have a way to burst camps at 1 minute on Braxis, you can get an advantage in the early game really quickly. And then the final camp change, this one was like, if you play Cursed Hollow, you will immediately like, whoa, bosses spawn at 10 minutes on all maps.
10? 10
minutes on all maps. 10 minutes.
What?
You ever got?
Jeez.
So this is really simple dynamic you do on Cursed Hollow. Like forget double boss. I'll get to that in a bit. But if you take the third trib, and it's like 10 to 8, right? So you're 10 to 8. The third trib spawns right next to a boss, and you're like, well, we can do boss without taking damage because this is double healer meta, whatever, right?
Right.
Go do the boss without taking any damage. No one's going to contest you. The enemy team basically has to gamble that they can poke you enough to either get the trib, get you off the boss, or stall you before, and then they get 10. Now it's you do the boss, and then you cap the trib, and then you swing through an entire lane on the third tribute where you have a 10 advantage because you've got an early game lead. That doesn't happen anymore. It can't happen anymore. It's impossible, right? Here's another thing: if you're really close in level, like 10 to 10. Do the tribute, take like 2 forts, and then go do boss for the last 20 seconds of the curse, right? That's a really popular one. Can't do that either for the first curse. Not allowed. Here's a great one for Cursed Hollow. This one's really crazy. So there are a bunch of complaints about double boss, I guess, since the inception of the map. You just take boss, go take the other boss, your opponents are just screwed, right? Defend the boss, defend the other boss. When you cap a boss on Cursed Hollow, the other one despawns.
Really?
I read about that and I was like, is that intentional? Like, so that's confirmed to be like the way it's gonna be.
If it's aggroed, it won't despawn, right?
Okay.
So it's like as if you started a web weaver. It's just like as if you like capping a boss on Cursed Hollow is like starting a web weaver phase on Tomb of the Spider Queen. The boss despawns, like the camps despawn, whatever, right? Yeah, but if the enemy team's doing it, it doesn't like steal it from them. But it's funny because they don't want people to do the double boss, but you still can,
right?
Because they have to defend the boss and then run over to you, like because when it dies, the other one spawns instantly. There's no delay. Like I think if it had like a 10-second delay, it would be what they're after. But the no delay. So we play the game and we walk over to the other boss like, oh, it's not even up. Oh, but they're going to be defending theirs, so yeah, sure, whatever.
We'll wait here until...
So now you have to do this dance where you get the enemy boss to a quarter, or close enough to where it won't take the keep, and leave the keep at enough health, and then run over to the other boss before they start it. Mm-hmm. So it's just a new dynamic. People still double boss.
Weird...
Yeah, what if you're running over to get to their boss before yours die, and they're just sitting in a bush waiting? Like there's so many things. But
oh my god.
Oh man, we've had so many games where it's Tomb of Spider Queen, second, we get like 2 turns in a row. We're like level like 11 to 8. Those are botting like, let's go do boss. 7 minutes in the game, no boss. Mm-hmm. It's really fun.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like there for a little while, I guess. Bobby G said that they do despawn unless it's aggro, so he's back
definitely.
In that.
But if you get Rhaegar, okay, so Rhaegar's lightning bomb got removed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But because this early game camp situation is so prevalent, Rhaegar's still good. Like you can still pick him because he does ogres by himself, right? And picking a healer can do ogres by themselves is great. And Rhaegar's still good. You just don't have this ridiculous potential damage with Lightning Bond anymore. Sure, it takes a longer to do the camp, but it's still
not bad by any means.
Oh, Lex Uther said it spawns 20-30 seconds after it disappears. I think that every time I've seen it happen, that timing occurs so close to how long it takes to clear the boss. Maybe it just seemed like it. So I wonder if it is just like a 30-second like despawn timer. It's kind of interesting.
Hey, Donut Lex, by the way. That really, there are a lot of branching ideas that come off of these changes when you really think about them.
Yeah. It's definitely a buff to early game comps, absolutely.
Which is a surprise to me because it feels like I thought they wanted to bring more emphasis to the early game, but conceptually, as it is right now on live, if you die early, it's almost kind of like whatever. Like it's not good. Mm-hmm.
Do the turrets have ammo? We're fine,
right? But it's not like the end of the world. Whereas on PTR, if you get into a team fight on Cursed Tile, let's say someone rotates from mid to bot after the initial, like we'll see if we can get kills. We can't. All right, let's rotate, and then you go from mid to bot and you die at like the 50-second mark, and you are the only one supposed to go down bot. And if the team doesn't, and then the team that killed you goes and gets their siege camp in 1 minute, like that's a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
So what teams will do is they'll have 3 people who can hold lanes. They clear waves really easily. Mm-hmm. This is just a super day one strat. 3 people that can hold lane really easily, and then 2 people could do camps by themselves. And then 1 guy goes to his ogres, the other guy does knights with maybe the help of whoever's close enough. It's like imagine Sky Temple capping knights and ogres at 1:30 at the same time, like on both sides of the map, and then just trying to capitalize on it. Like it is a huge amount of pressure. And like super late game team comps, it nerfed them because they have to. It's harder to survive. Oh, also, if you play on the PTR, the turret changes are a nerf to the walls. Walls are so much weaker.
Really?
They take so much longer to kill minions. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous. So like I play like Junkrat in like on the PTR in games every once in a while. So just as an example, I don't really like attacking walls as Junkrat. I clear waves and I leave. So like I'll be in like Dragonshire, like we get a kill on whoever's there, and then I just clear the whole wave. So if Junkrat's pure AoE damage, so you clear the whole wave without your wave taking any damage. Just watch what it does to the wall, just by itself. The first wave, it'll do like over a third of one of those turrets' life. Like it will. Really? It's like they'll blow right through walls.
So that's surprising to me because I was like the infinite ammo.
So
okay.
What used to happen was they go up to the wall clears them all out and loses like maybe a little over a third of its shots, and then the next one comes in and it loses a little more, and the third wave comes in and it clears like half the wave and then it runs out of shots, and then one archer minion does half the damage of the turret, and then the next wave comes in and blows through it all, right? 4 waves uncontested still breaks the wall. Like, that hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the turrets have more health, like, now. So if they had the same health as before, it would be like 2 or 3 waves to destroy these walls, uncontested. So not much has changed with minions and unlimited ammo. If you're there defending, so if you walk out, if you let the melee minions come in, and you walk out and block the range minions. By the way, I don't know if you knew this. Melee minions deal like 1 damage and auto attack. Like, okay, it might not be 1, but even if it was 10, right? It's tiny. They do nothing. They do nothing at all. So you go block the range minions. Melee minions all die to the wall. Then step back and let the wall kill the range minions. And then like your infinite ammo, that's the buff to infinite ammo, or to the ammo thing, right? If you're there, it's like super hard to take walls when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not there, like, there's so many heroes that by themselves could take the whole wall on the first wave. Like, you have to be so much faster with these changes. And just to put it even more perspective with how important that is, they front-loaded those walls with more experience.
Right.
So they get more experience from breaking the wall. There's no more auxiliary turret, so you don't have to
kill the
worry about that. When you walk in, only the fort is attacking the minions at that point, not this other turret clearing it as well. So they just lowered the total DPS of the turrets, like, to kill minions. So even taking forts is easier now. And the fort ammo was like never an issue before, so that's not that big of a deal. They move wells around in certain spots.
Okay.
Some of them are better, some of them are worse. If you really want to be cheesy with the new changes, on Dragonshire, they put the well where the turret used to be. So if you walk through the jungle and you flank, you can destroy the well. You can melee auto attack the well without getting hit by the turret. So if your team could snipe the top well, if you have like a close matchup, like just walk over there and snipe it. Maybe you take a risk because you're out of position, right? I mean, it's Dragonshire, but you could totally just steal it. Any hero could steal it without taking damage. Whereas before, you'd break the wall, break the turret, like kind of get in there. It's like super exposed now. It's really weird.
Especially on that map too, for their it to be that exposed. Yeah.
Specifically on that map, yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, guys in the chat, how do you feel about that change? I don't know how much a fan I am of it.
No, I go for the first thing you do is go for well on that map, because like once you get well, you win that lane. So that's crazy.
Not every well was put where the auxiliary turret was. Some of them are still in the same spots. Like Towers of Doom, wells haven't changed positions. I think. I'm pretty sure some of them haven't. Sky Temple, I think a lot of the wells have been shifted backwards, except the bottom lane. It's like the bottom lane, they're not shifted back, but like the top lane they are. Stuff like that. Like it's they looked at every single one. They made a decision. Some of them are different. Some of them are still the same. Some wells you can just snipe for nothing. It's really weird.
Yeah, that I'm wondering how that's gonna play, because it definitely seems like
I feel like people don't get it yet, because I remember when Genji came out, people would walk in the Dragonshire mid wall. They go into the alley, cute shuriken over, then auto attack using Genji over the wall.
Right.
Why don't you just do that at the top? It's super easy now. Anybody can do it. It's like the Asmodans used to snipe wells with the Qs and the Es. It's just like that. Like, so Dragonshire, if you snipe that well, you could have a winning top lane a lot easier. And then last thing about the lanes is it's a lot easier to defend. Like, you can't, if you have a Tastar versus a 2-man push, you can't push it a Tastar with 2 men. Like, you stop anybody, because one W puts the wave at like 20% life, and when they come on the turrets to get cleared, there's no ammo. Like, you have to tank shots. He can shield the turrets, stuff like that. Like, you can defend really easily on these maps.
Do you feel so? By extension, you feel players have to respect the tower shots more, since there's no running out of ammo now?
You definitely have to respect the tower shots. I think I just think that the turrets are more vulnerable. Like, they just, because they're so important, like, for you, because they give so much experience. But you definitely have to. They don't run out. I don't know. I got over the ammo stuff really quickly.
Okay.
Like, I don't really notice it anymore, just because they made the turrets deal less damage to minions. So the minions tank the wall longer. You deal more damage. They have they both have 30% more life or whatever it is, and it's nothing. Like it's pennies. They just blow right through it.
A map specific question in your experience. Infernal Shrines. It was, in my opinion, really important to bait the Punisher over the wall if you were defending against the first Punisher. With the tower going away, is that more or less important now?
That's less DPS. That is, I don't know how much. I actually never looked up how much turrets deal compared to the fort. But what I always like to do is jump the Punisher on the side of the auxiliary turret.
So like the two towers and the.
So like the front two are attacking, and then the back one is attacking, and the fort. So you get as much DPS as you possibly can. That doesn't happen anymore. It's just less damage to the Punisher. Punisher, tanks more for you. And that first Punisher. I'm not saying the first Punisher is game-breakingly good, but you do get more experience now because it's just the wall.
I think that's going to have a huge part to play, because I know in some games it almost felt like give them the Punisher. Like, we can just push something else while they're trying to do all that, and we'll get more net value, but that doesn't seem like that's the case anymore.
There's a building philosophy over a long period of time in the HGC that the first Punisher has no value.
I've seen it, for sure.
So I'll quote Yoda, that he thought he was starting to see the team that takes the Punisher first is more likely to lose, because if you wasted your time collecting it, then the enemy team gets a better advantage. Someone said in the chat, sounds like the turret changes make it tougher to deny XP from opponents. Fast wave clear on an abandoned map. It's a lot tougher because they clear the waves slower, like turrets. So you can catch Stoke as they clear away from you, because they just survive for longer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's going to make it all the more important to be in the lane, because if the towers take longer to kill the minions, if there is someone there, then they're going to have that much more time to just wail on the structures.
That's what it feels like.
That they want you to be more cognizant of the lane and not have people just deathball roam around, and that lanes are more important. If you're in it, it's important.
Maybe they think that they want there to be higher consequences for achieving losing an advantage in a lane, right? Mm-hmm. So if you deathball and get a kill, you have one person defending and two people pushing, right? Mm-hmm. It's easier to defend. So now if the deathball gets the kill in the old version, they get a certain amount of wall, whereas now if the deathball gets the kill, they just get the wall.
Right.
And the deathball can leave, and the one person can get the wall. I mean, we're talking any hero in the game, 2 waves maximum to kill the wall. If they can clear the wave really quickly.
So do you think early gank heroes like Kerrigan, Diablo do you think they'll be more important in the meta going forward?
I think that people were already playing heroes that are good in the early game. Just the heroes that are good in the early game that carry through later are going to be played. It's not so much that you get kills in the early game. It's more like you just can apply a lot more pressure, right? Mm-hmm. You can you can take down structures earlier, is really the thing about it. So heroes that are good at sieging at level 1, but also good at team fighting, before level 10, I think are really good. Heroes that can do camps by themselves, autonomous heroes like Rhaegar, and I can't think of any others, but he's pretty much the poster child of the kind of heroes that are going to be good.
Okay. You made a point that we haven't really. It brought up a question to me that we haven't really talked about yet, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. And it's referencing, the value of the first Punisher on Infernal Shrines. Volskaya feels to me like a map where, more often than not, if you get the robot and you have 2 people jump in, I've seen so often people just die. The 3 people outside of the robot just get jumped on, especially if your peel is in the robot. Do you think that Volskaya is a competitively viable map?
I don't know. I think I've probably played less than 50 games of Volskaya, and when I think about what has to leave the pool, because there can only be 9 maps. Like, what map does it take over, and why is that a good thing, right? So, the most obvious thing is that as soon as Blizzard makes a map that people would rather play than Warhead, right?
Right.
Warhead's gone. It's never coming back unless Blizzard like mandates rotation or pool rotations. Like Blackheart's Bay is never going to come back. No one's ever going to play Asmodee on Blackheart's Bay ever again. Dream's dead. Give up on it and let it go. It's a waste of your time. But because I don't know if anybody didn't know this, but the pros decide what maps are there.
Right.
At Summit.
It's a vote that they do.
I was thinking like NA might want to keep Warhead these days because it seems like that's the one map that we figured out.
Well, yeah. So I thought that Battlefield was going to get knocked out because when I heard about the change, like I thought people would rather play Garden than Battlefield, but apparently Battlefield's just grown on people because like I was in the pro scene when that map came out. Everybody's hated it for so long. But eventually, now that they just understand it better, the map's the same. It's pretty much identical to how it was when it came out. Like,
it also like forces it forces everybody to like go there and it like
people really like that map because it's like honestly the map's built like a paintball course,
It is.
Then weave around in and then you do fights, there's a little something for everybody except mages, I guess. Never see Gul'dan. But at the same time, it's super hard to deathball, and most people hate playing against deathball, so it really rewards early game play. But this is someone who's played the map for a year. When it came, everybody hated it when it came out. It's so funny how much people like it. So and then Warhead stuck around. Even people like Warhead even better than Garden. It's crazy. But I wonder if Volskaya will overtake Warhead. I'm starting to think it won't because Volskaya is just so lame. Such a lame map. Like, no one cares about the turrets.
Yeah.
Like, they're so boring. They don't do anything. Like, they're just in the way. Like, using the block skill shots, Like, use them to distract people who don't realize how invaluable they are. Or how little value they have. And then the health pack, it's never... I guess no one's really unlocked the potential of it, I guess. Just like a well tap for everybody. You'd think people would be all over that stuff, but maybe it needs more time to develop.
I can see the lame comparison. I don't know. I enjoy the map because it embodies a lot of what I enjoy about Heroes of the Storm in general. My main concern for that map from a competitive standpoint is the value of the robot at almost any stage of the game, especially going forward where it's going to be easier for one person by themselves to take a wall. Like, how bad would it feel? You commit all these resources to getting the robot, and then meanwhile someone's up top just like getting the wall and just like pushing forever.
It's
and
really
you're just
hard to
like
close out games. It's really hard to close out games before level 18 on Volskaya. So you see a lot of Nazebos, you see a lot of Zakaras, right? You see a lot of Junkrats because the game's going to last a long time. As long as you don't feed, you will make it to 16, and you will make it to 20. And the robot doesn't take anything. And, two people go on the robot does a lot of damage. 2 people go into the robot, you lose the team fight. People just flank and kill you,
Right.
And if your teammates are positioned really far back, you just kill the robot. So, I don't know what the answer is. I think if they buff the robot, it'll make the map worse. Personally, I think that the tracks on the map are just super annoying.
They are.
I've been hosed by them.
I have no appreciation for those tracks at all, and I've made plays, and I really it's not even the tracks, it's the bottom area that has the loop. I just don't get it. It's just so annoying. I honestly unless your team comp somehow is good in that spot, just leave it. Just let it go. Like, it's not worth fighting down there. Like, just the robot doesn't do anything. Just go take a keep or take a fort or something. Just let him have it. Like, the bottom area is not worth fighting in. Like, it's a trap for whoever steps into it. It's really I don't really like that aspect of it. Like, you have like like the low ground on Sky Temple is the fact that you have this monster attacking you. But if your teammates just step in and kill it, it's no big deal. And then the low ground is that you have to stand in one spot. And on Volskaya, the low ground is that you're just packed into a corner. You can't leave.
Everybody is. Yeah.
It
just seems like unnecessary.
Yeah, it's cool to hear your perspective because again, we haven't really talked about that map from a competitive standpoint. I'd rather play that than like Garden of Terror or Blackheart's Bay.
Let's say, I love Blackheart's Bay. Get out of here. Watch the pros voted in, and then the meta develops and people understand the map better, and then everyone shows all this appreciation for how great the map is, and
I think the meta for it's going to be.
Was.
Did Tempo love that map?
I don't know. I don't know anybody that likes it.
I'm wondering if I think the meta would be people just don't even show up for the objective.
I think
right now.
People, pros are no exclusion. I think people like staying the same more than they like changing.
Right.
So people, they don't like Warhead because the game ends in 6 minutes, not because Warhead doesn't make sense, or the objective's weak. Like the gripe people have about Warhead is the objective is too good. The bosses are too strong,
Well, that brings up I'm really curious to see how that map plays now because the boss not showing up until 10 minutes into the game.
Oh yeah,
that is gonna change. Like,
I feel like all the changes to bosses were just for that one. Like
for that map.
You can't really get that 5 minute.
That
you can't get that 5 minute game like that anymore.
The Cursed Hollow change, cool, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's no you have this super rare pre 10 minute win. I don't know if you noticed, but they show you where all the objectives are going to spawn, when the game starts. Like as soon as you capture an objective on Cursed Hollow, it shows you where the next one's going to spawn. It shows it on the map.
Wow.
But then it delays to announce when, right?
But where it's going to be.
Yeah, you know where every time.
So the global
Warhead,
person knows where to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
You're like, okay, we've got 3 minutes until that guy activates.
Yeah.
Or 2 minutes.
That's
whatever
crazy.
It is.
I don't know about that.
All right.
Wow.
Dark Chimera. I mean, maybe it's 30 seconds, not the second you cap it. Even if it's 30 seconds, you still have 2 minutes before it comes up.
Interesting.
I actually found it kind of annoying when you first start playing with it because you think it's about to spawn. You keep watching it.
Mm-hmm.
You should just see it, forget about it, know where it's going.
Debated.
Warhead's the same way. Sky Temple's the same way. It's all the random spawns are now telegraphed early.
Dark Chimera's got your back.
Yeah, I guess so.
But overall, would you say that you're excited for the changes that are in the PTR from a competitive standpoint? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. People thought that the support nerfs are this really big deal. I think the support nerfs are they think it's a big change because there's a lot of words and a lot of numbers, but I don't even think the support nerfs do anything.
Is it going to change the meta?
Okay, support nerfs don't change the meta. Malfurion losing Moonburn on level 1 and Rhaegar losing Lightning Bolt on level 1, that would change the meta. Because Malfurion's dead.
Yeah, his Q feels super weak now.
If there are any drafters in the chat that were picking Malfurion a lot before the change, stop it. Unless you like scouting drone, if you picked Moonburn on Malf because you realized that at level 7 he can 2-shot a wave, right? It's over. It's over. The dream's dead. It's over. I love playing Malf a lot. He's amazing. He bodies everybody. He counters Tracer because you just W her for 10% of her life on a 1.5 second cooldown. You harass people. You put roots down. You just dream that win makes super plays. You get the ice block. So much stuff is so great about him. But you can't do any of that if you can't clear waves because his healing is trash.
Yeah,
his healing is trash.
I think they're gonna have to buff his Q to justify him as a hero anymore. As a solo support,
I can't believe they. I mean, okay, you go watch GCCW or GCWC.
Mm-hmm.
They were picking him because of Moonburn, the fact that you can Twilight Dream later. That is why you pick Malfurion. You don't pick him to heal your teammates. That's a misconception. Like, he's not. You want to use your Q off cooldown. I'm not saying don't use your Q. Like,
you're here first, kids.
But yeah, there's his kid.
We're picking him because Moonburn 2 shots waves or 3 shots waves if you only go Moonburn and none of the other double shots. So, like that's the truth. And I'm gonna be very impressed if people still pick him in the GCWC playoffs and do well with him. Because you split so much when you're playing him. You push a wave by yourself. You push a lane by yourself. Like, you do so much stuff by yourself. And then you come in and you just flank Dream and teamfights over, or you threaten with Dream. It's fantastic, but it's over. It's gone. It's done.
Rip.
Not picking him.
No more mouth.
Okay. Rhaegar's still fine. Team fights. Nothing has changed with Rhaegar's team fight except his stat number's a little lower. So obviously, if you're in situations that were really close before, they won't be as close. But the Ancestral still heals for someone's full life. The Q's still as good as it gets because all healers got nerfed. The W still does damage, target you put it on, and the totem still slows. You still have high mobility. You still have the same amount of burst, right? You just have one less W. That's all.
So teamfights overall, you would say like 2018 changes, thumbs up, seems good. Double support meta hasn't necessarily changed outside of split potential in 2 of the specific ones, but in other instances, there's still a good amount of viability to be had.
I think that,
is that fair?
double support is not going to go away. I just think that before the change, before they nerfed all the supports, go watch international play. People still pick that single support, right? Mm-hmm. Dominatingly pick double support. I think that double support's probably going to become weaker. I don't know if it's going to get completely removed because there are so many healers that are so good that cannot operate without other healers. Like Anna, you have to pick another one unless you're like full execution, right? Tastar, it's not playable without another healer. Well, here's a fun one. Alex Straza, although I'm starting to think Alex can be a healer by herself, like her kit is designed to receive healing from other healers. So,
how do you feel about Karazim? Merp in the chat just said, "What do you?" I mean, you kind of answered the question. Do you think it'll hinder the strength? Sounds like it might be a little weaker, but probably not enough to dissuade. What do you think about Karazim?
I think the most important part about the support nerfs is Malph's gone. Rhaegar can't do camps like a god, and supports are weaker but not weak.
Okay, that's fair.
The number your team fight happened and you casted 3 Qs on Uther on your teammates, and then you go look, oh my gosh, the Q got nerfed by 5%, and then you like punch out your calculator. How much heals did I lose? And you're like, I lost 50 heals. Oh, wow, what a nerf! Like, I can't believe how did we come here?
Not the end of the world.
Yeah, 5% feels like you don't feel it, but you do, but you don't. Like, I've had a hard time really gauging exactly how much of a change it is either. But either way, I feel like the future of Heroes, especially in a competitive capacity, is going to be interesting and exciting. And as someone that watches a lot of competitive and casts, I'm excited as well.
Malfurion being gone, it makes single support a lot easier. Because you don't have him running around causing problems.
So you say you don't feel it, but you do. But I mean,
but just don't.
Because I mean, I guess that's more slanted towards competitive play, because so often you'll see someone get maximum value out of their health pool. Like a Vala would get away with like 50 health. That 50 difference counts.
Yeah, 50 health, exactly. That 50 health is now going to count.
Right. Yeah.
So, take all your highlight reels like, oh my gosh, single digit health, they survived.
That's not that's going to be a lot thinner now, in Hero League it probably doesn't change that much then. But we do want to try to keep this to about 90 minutes, and we are starting to wrap up now. It's been really cool to have you here on the show, Battery. Hearing your insight, not only about your esports career, and I definitely feel like you've made some new fans here for Oh My Science. I'm really excited to see what comes of your team. Hearing even the development you guys have had in the time since you've joined sounds like Oh My Science is going to be a very promising team to watch in the coming year. And your insight on how the game itself is changing, it's brought a lot to my plate as far as things to consider. The spell shield change on the knights, I'm actually like,
it's huge.
I might just want to like hit the thing and leave if I have no intention on getting it, just to kind of like make life harder for.
Well, so what I do is I'm playing Rhaegar, is I walk into the camp and I do the big minion, right? and then I just leave. And I come back the next time I'm healthy. Like I don't leave, go get health, and come back. I just leave and do something else. And then whoever comes along to do it, now they don't have to deal with that. Like
what an
so you
investment.
do the camp twice, right? But it's still I think it's a good strat. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I definitely see how there's some potential value, but I just think it's cool that like the changes are substantial enough to make
they're huge.
Competitive players like yourself rethink a lot of the strategies, and I think that's
very early game.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. But like I said, man, this has been really fun to have you on the show. Can't wait to see you guys show your stuff. May, always a pleasure.
You too.
You guys in the chat, thanks for participating and getting involved. We look to do these on Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern. We like to go about 60 to 90 minutes. We want to make this the water cooler of the Heroes community, where you throw in your questions and stuff, and you get right involved in the topics. We like to have different guests here, like Battery with 2 R's. Remember the 2 R's. He's gonna get
2 R's.
He's gonna get charged up if you don't. See, I like that. But for now, that will round out episode number 17 HeroesHype Live. Can't wait to see you guys again. My name's Lauren. Maybe Buzz, joined by Battery. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. Until next time, next Tuesday. See you.
Bye.
That's terrible.
Dead game.